The unfortunate incidences of stampedes pervade the front pages of some of the dailies this morning. Let's begin with Daily Trust newspaper. Stampedes killed 213 Nigerians in 11 years. And if you look at the infographics on the front page, it chronicles cases of stampedes in 2024 between February and December this year. The front page of the Daily Times has fatal stampedes over palliatives, reflections of deepening pauperisation of Nigerians, that's according to the PRP, holds Tinubu FG accountable for hardship. The details on the inside pages. This Nigeria, deaths from food stampede. It's a national tragedy, says VP Shatima. Over 67 fatalities recorded in Oyo, Anambra, Abuja. Wike directs free treatment for victims. Anambra police confirmed death of 22 persons. Soludo mourns as group blames poverty for tragedy. The details on the inside pages of the papers this morning. Nigerian News Direct has Christmas, respite for Nigerians as fuel pump prices crash nationwide. PMS sells for $9.90 and $9.35 across the states as Dangote showers praises on Tinubu. The story has its details on page 22 of the paper today. The Guardian newspaper, distrust, others slow financial inclusion amid 4.3 trillion naira outside banks. What that means you'll find on page 6. And you have infographics on reasons for not having a bank account in percentages right there on the front page of the paper. Daily Independent, 47.9 trillion naira 2025 budget, bold step with unrealistic assumptions, according to experts. Say success depends on effective revenue generation, debt management addressing inflation, FX volatility. Atiku says budget lacks fiscal discipline to address problems. Details on page 29. Nigerian Tribune has Tinubu's reforms not responsible for stampedes. FG tackles PDP others. Stories on page 3. As PDP blames Tinubu, it's a reflection of hunger in the land, according to Obi. Omokri calls out Obi. Falana heads to court as 105 killed in palliative stampedes in 32 months. Safeguarding children in crowded gatherings not negotiable, according to PAN. Buhari, can others mourn? States roll out crowd control measures. The details on the inside pages. FG Omokri caution against politicizing incidents. Chetima assures support. Police confirm 22 dead in Anambra. Buhari, Wike, Soludo console families. Ondo issues directives on crowd control. Oyo government permitted Agidigbo FM to use school, according to old students. Vanguard has 2024 in review, how inflation, FX reforms, recapitalization, others shaped banking. Details on page 14 of the paper this morning. Business Day has Naira rebound seen in 2025 on higher FX inflows. Lower petrol, food importation could strengthen currency. All of these you find the details of continue on the inside pages of Business Day newspaper. These are some of the dailies we have for you today.
The Daily Trust newspaper is what stands out for me today. And of course, like Tayo said in the beginning of that review, the Stampede has been the major story on every newspaper today, with the blame being passed from one place to the other. But we'll talk about that in subsequent programs and in subsequent conversations today. But I want to focus on customer protection this morning. We'll start off with this one that has to do with the Yuletide airfares, skyrocketing airfares amidst operators' capacity crunch. A lot of people have traveled for the Yuletide, a lot of people are still traveling for the Yuletide, but these airfares, who's protecting the users? Who's protecting the travelers? Who's protecting them from people basically just inflating prices? We see, I mean, it seems like a lot this year, maybe because of what we're facing with the Naira and the dollar, but this happens every year. So what's the explanation? Why does this happen every December, where the price of airfares and just travel generally skyrockets crazy skyrocketing. So what's the problem? And who's checking it to make sure that these prices actually reflect what market realities are? Because it's easy for someone to say, oh, look at what the economy is saying, look at what the naira is saying, look at what the dollar is saying, and for our business, we have to increase the price. But who's regulating that? And it's that question that brings me to another issue about customer protection. Still from the Daily Trust newspaper. Despite the petrol price cuts, NNPCL stations and others are selling above 1,000 naira per litre. And I can attest to this one. I actually went and got fuel yesterday thinking I was going to buy at maybe 900, you know, at least for the first time in a long time. Let me be able to get fuel for less than 1,000. No, I bought for more than 1,000. I bought for 1,070 naira. So what's the story? You know, who's checking that as well? Consumer protection, the FCCPC, whoever it is that is supposed to make sure that consumers are not fleeced, that consumers are not treated shoddily in this Yuletide season. Please go and check, find out why these prices exist, put out some kind of explanation that will help the people understand what's happening to them. You know, some kind of rationale. And if there is no rationale for these prices, let the people know as well, so that we know who to call out when we see these sorts of things happening. That's my take this morning. Ayo.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper as well. At the bottom of the page is something rather troubling. And I think maybe the presidency needs to come out to explain to Nigerians, or maybe if it's an oversight, then let there be an explanation. At the bottom of the page is 2025 budget. Scrapped Niger Delta Sports Ministries gets 2.3 trillion naira. And of course, CISLAC has responded to that one, says it's embarrassing. Story is on page 6. Now, we just need some clarity. If it was an error, it's human to make errors, but a 2.3 trillion naira error is not something anyone should overlook or sweep under the carpet. 2.3 million naira is way more than a bump on the road. That's what percentage of our budget for the year ahead. So, someone needs to just come out and explain. If it's an error, if it's a mistake, let us know. If these ministries have been scrapped, how come they are getting 2.3 trillion naira? If this is to explain that there are departments and agencies under these ministries or former ministries that need to still get some funds assigned to them, then it would be good for government to at least let Nigerians know and understand what the issues are, you know, this morning. But it's right there on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. That said, let's move on to take a short break now. When we return, it's time for us to take on the issues. Stay with us.